So I'm back again answering questions for a few people that have been messaging me again and again. I've been trying to post things on my Facebook and to keep it updated that way, answering questions, but my posts are just too long and don't make any sense, and it shouldn't even be on my real Facebook page. So I will say again, I'm not a licensed therapist. I went to school solely to learn more about myself, to learn more about mental illness, to learn more about the human mind at the time, because my husband was in and out of hospitals at the time. I just continued with it. I enjoyed a lot. It explained a lot about myself. But I'm not here to give free advice to everybody and to tell you how to live your life. That's not my job, and I've been trying to post things to keep it less personal. But, if I'm going to do that, I'm going to have to make like a page for that and maybe have someone run it, because I do get a lot of questions, whether you guys are real or fake. I don't know, but the questions seem pretty legit. So this is an introductory video to the video I'm going to show. I answered a couple questions, kind of try to put them together. And the two questions was, why did I stop believing in God? Where'd that come from? And about my daughter, how I've coped with that. Because I'm seeing a lot of parents, male and female, are, when they leave a relationship, they're leaving the kids with one parent, or sometimes both parents leave them with the grandparents. So I'm only going to make a couple more videos. I'm probably going to clean up my Facebook because it makes no sense about what I'm posting. I know it's for certain people, but I just haven't really thought about it because I'm not really going to be going to therapy, and so I probably shouldn't be giving advice. I have to talk about my personal experience because ethically that's the best way to go. I can't tell you what to do. You need to see a therapist. You need to go to group therapy. You need to seek that out with a professional. I'm going to be opening more of a life coach business, but it's not the same as a therapist. It's something that you still need to have a psychiatrist and meds, and you still need to have a licensed therapist that's their practice and whatever your case is. I can just tell you what I did in my personal life for me that may not work for you, because this is different between personalities, coping mechanisms, having the mindset to do it. I'm not going to say you're weak or strong. Maybe you've never gone through therapy before, or gone through having to work on your own, because therapy is just not for fixing everything because you walk in. You have to learn about yourself. That's the point. And sometimes you got to teach your therapist, as I say. A good therapist can break up a marriage. They can actually make you worse sometimes, put you on meds you don't need. So you got to be very careful about who you pick. This is my disclaimer because I don't want to get in trouble down the line about what I'm saying. So what I'm talking about, I posted my personal problems or past personal issues and problems, because that's the only way I can. I can't sit there and tell you what you should do or shouldn't do with your ex or your kids or your situation. I can give you examples of me. And my Facebook is becoming too cluttered because people are asking you, post this and post that. And I'm trying to be nice about it, but it's just at the point now where I'm not being paid for one, guys, and it's only for a few of you. And like I said, if you want a page, we can make a page and you guys can post away whatever you want to. But a lot of you guys are hidden away, so I can't mention who you are because of your spouses or exes or whatever reason you're in legal battles. So I'm just going to tell you my story. I'm going to leave it for a little bit, but I'll eventually probably clean up my Facebook and take a lot of this stuff down because it doesn't need to be on there. A lot of this stuff was 2 years ago for me, and if I do this, I need to do it in a way that's professional and proves the point that it's not like a crazy person just randomly posting stuff on here. And this is not a video to defend myself. It's just my way of explaining to you that if I take stuff down, I don't take it personal, because I've already had people say that to me. I try to leave them up for a minute so they can save stuff or whatever, but I don't have the time to be constantly answering questions. I know the big one is about narcissism and being a narc. I'm going to go just real quick with you. It's a very misconstrued, misunderstood mental health issue. Yes, it's real, but it's not what you think it is. This is kind of a personal experience. I'm not going to go into that right now, but I'll say this much. From what we can tell, psychologists that are highly, highly trained and revered in the psychology world, they differ on their opinion on that. I mean, they all don't agree where it comes from. We all have narcissism, we all have egos, we have pride. It's a defense mechanism we use from early child development, most people have, that are to protect themselves. They don't develop correctly because either the parent was neglectful in the sense of how to have them deal with their emotions when they're younger, and they use methods that still work for them to this day when they start to feel a certain way. So you feel scared, you act a certain way, you do certain things, you react a certain way, you run away, you blow up, you play mind games. It's because it worked as a child. It's not always the case. There's also a gray matter in the brain, nurture versus nature, meaning that some people who have this disorder, if it's even narcissism, as they call it, just could be another form of a personality disorder, which everyone's got a mental illness, like I said. The brain is formed differently. So part of it could be what they've learned, the other part is the way they're born. The other myth is that people with this disorder cannot get better, which is a lie. I've seen it happen, and I have, once again, personal experience with that. I grew up around a lot of people this way. Narcissism can be very crossed over from bipolarism, schizophrenia, to Down syndrome, to special needs, because all it is a lack of empathy and sympathy and compassion and impulsive decision making, highs and lows that people go through during mental health crises, you should say, or like cycles. Not always. When it gets really bad, anybody can snap and become a sociopath or psychopath. Sociopath means someone has explosions, be like the passion murders, where they might just blow up all of a sudden and start hitting someone or killing somebody because they see something like a crime of passion. To psychopaths are more intellectual in the sense of they could be judges, lawyers, doctors. Usually A-type personalities, and sociopaths and psychopaths are all around you. They're high functioning, you never know it. We don't know enough about the mind to dictate what it is yet. It's just a big thing phase, like gluten-free, or everyone's bipolar 1, 2, and 3, and we have this and that. Now it's narcissism, because anyone who's an asshole in life, we blame them. Oh, they must be a narc. Well, we're all narcs, so we wouldn't have Bridezilla. We wouldn't have things where are meaningless, but will break up families and friendships, because at that time we feel we have to defend it. We get so egotistical and childlike that we don't even see how we're acting, because we've always done it. It's a go-to mechanism that we can cope with. We all have narc traits. I mean, we all have them. Look at divorce court, child custody. Everybody's a narc in court. I mean, so I call it's a narc world. It's narc traits. So let's dispense of that. But I can say my husband, regardless of what he may say, was diagnosed by multiple doctors with covert narcissism. It's, even if it was just a phase, or it got higher at that time, he had it at that time because of his childhood trauma, which I'm not going to go into, but they're deep, and my own, similar, how we vary, and why we vary now as adults, how we view the world, because I had a bit more stable of upbringing in him, but still a lot of trauma with growing up. So the video, I'm making this long intros because I talk about a few things. I talk about why I stopped believing in God, but it's not what you think. It's actually why I stopped believing in God, how I was angry with God, and how I overcame that anger, and you'll see why. People just assume straight up that I'm just a straight up atheist. Well, I believe in everything, and I believe in science, and maybe there is nothing. Maybe there is something. I'm not going to tell you what to believe in. If spirituality helps you, more power to you. If it doesn't, more power to you. I'm not going to be that person for you to dictate your belief systems, because I can't even tell you what's there or not there. I don't know that much. But it is my personal belief system to look at everything. And sometimes when spirituality doesn't work for people, and it doesn't, and they get disappointed, they get frustrated, and they come to people like me, and I have to hear about it. So there's always ways for people to express that, and it's something that I need to keep more personal to myself, because people just don't understand. I hate text, I hate Facebook. I try to make it work where I'm explaining things, but it just comes off like insanity. Even I can see that, and I need to stop doing that, because that's not what I need to do for people. I need to focus on if I'm doing this, to really do it the proper way. So I'm only gonna make 1 or 2 more videos like this for just people to get them, the answers they want to get. Because I made promises, I'm trying to keep them, and you may be my clients on the line for other things, and I just want to make sure that I'm keeping an open dialogue. I'm not trying to ignore anybody, but there's only a few questions I've had, and it's my journey. It's emotional, because the things I talk about is my miscarriage I had, and how I was alone. When I said alone, I was alone. Meaning that I went through a lot of this stuff on my own, because the first thing was I was in confusion and not really know what's going on, and that was kind of his plan. Now when I talk about my husband, I understand him. I understand why he did what he did. I understand his reactions and his behaviors. Doesn't mean I agree with them. Doesn't mean I think it's okay he did what he did. I think his behavior was outlandish and childish, and it hurt a lot of people, not just me. And a lot of things happen with these type of cases where, probably half of what I know is fake. The other half is probably real. Who would know? We never talked after our separation, which our separation was simply put, he went to jail for hurting me. And I feel I have to make this clear because I'm not bitter about it. It's something that happened, and it was when he got out of one of his mental care homes he was staying at to be watched. He got involved with people that he shouldn't have. He was having an emotional affair with somebody and playing with little kids he shouldn't have been. And that's the truth. He wasn't there to play around and to be a victim. And whatever happened in there, he had to make a bad guy when he was going through the loss of his ex-wife. And maybe to him, all women are the same. Who knows? And I won't lie, I was at my best because I'm dealing with everything for him on the outside. Why he's a narc at that time is because he wanted what he wanted and didn't care who he hurt, how he did it. And he used manipulation tactics through people and other things to get other people involved that became dangerous and had dire consequences, which is him getting arrested. Because in the end, he could say what he wants to. Everyone saw it. It was on camera at the Airbnb where he was staying at, because when he got back, he was already pissed off at me and violent, yelling at me on the phone because people were edging him on. He's easily influenced. He knows that. Or he wants to be. He made a choice. Either which way, what he did was wrong. He ended up hurting me because he was mad about me putting him in an Airbnb, because he was screaming at me on the phone. He had banned me from the hospital to see him because I didn't bring our daughter, which they asked me not to several times. I'd already brought her to another hospital, which they had problems with and made exceptions. And from what I heard from the staff at the care home, he was perfectly fine and very, very nice and very helpful. But since I show up, he put this show on that he was pissed off at me and that I was a bad guy, and he was trying to make me feel bad and told me I betrayed him because I didn't bring our daughter. He couldn't even see that a little baby, like 2 years old, shouldn't be there at a care home where people are locked up. They had to be escorted out to even go to the store. Granted, maybe he was faking, like I said before. But when they watched him from afar, because they noticed it, they said, that's really strange how he treats you. So that means he's in control. And when you're in control, that's somebody who's mentally ill, so sick, they cannot control themselves. They will continue the behaviors. They will not come out of the delusions. They will believe what they're hearing. They just won't 1 second be mean to one person or disrespectful or have a tantrum with someone, as I call them, and then go back to the care providers and be like, everything's okay. So he's choosing who he wants to be disrespectful. He's choosing who he wants to be that way towards, because he's frustrated or he's mad or whatever he feels he's slighted with. All I can think about is how he feels. He didn't think about the safety of our daughter. He didn't think about how the doctors view that, how they viewed me. Was I being a responsible mother? Because at that time I was put in charge of him because I was his care provider and power of attorney, getting ready to be his caseworker. So the video goes into that. It goes into when we went to court order therapy. We were assigned by the courts because I had helped him with his court order therapy. I had told him that I want him not to be put in jail. Which maybe was a mistake. But, oh, hello. Close for a second. Because at the care home, basically at the care home, we could see that he was in control of himself, where he could treat one person one way, and then when the care providers were around, he treated them completely different. Was the all around, patient staying there, which was a red flag. And they actually told me we need to get him out of here and put him in the correct program because he doesn't have what we thought he has. He's in control because they thought he wasn't. So from that stint, whatever was being said to him, I saw the people he was talking to, I already kind of knew. He banned me from there because they confronted him on it. And I knew that was the downfall it was going to roll out. I knew he was angry because he was screaming at me on the phone, like I said. And long story short, he comes back. My mom picks him up. I put him in Airbnb just in case, because everyone was worried about my daughter's safety regardless of what he says. Whenever a child's involved, the VA was involved. A lot of people had already been involved before it got to this point. So it got to this point. His first wife had already called CPS on him. The kids had said he was hurting them, which was a lie. I'll even say that now. But there was problems already that I had to be aware of because of his first wife, who's not all there either, and she's not. It's not me being mean. There's something wrong with her. Granted, something wrong with him. And it was a really bad custody battle for a long time that caused a lot of problems to him that he could not handle. I fought most of his battles for him. I protected him. I did it for him because he loved the kids. I know he did. But at the same time, he resented the kids because they brought a lot of drama into our lives. We never really had a marriage. The point is, my daughter, the day he came back, we put him in Airbnb from the care home. And whatever he told him, whatever he talked about, I don't care because I talked to a girl on the phone. This girl I never met who's mentally ill herself, which is scary. escaped me on the phone talking about how he doesn't feel safe with me and how I don't listen to him. It wasn't about him. It's about him being a father and getting well for his daughter to come back to his family. But instead, that's what he's doing. He cuts the money off because, like most mentally ill people, they get paranoid with their money. Granted, he doesn't even make $2,500 a month from his money. It's so little. It's something I can make every 2 paychecks, or like every other 2 weeks, what I can make if I'm working full time, which I stopped doing. I keep saying, because it's a common factor. That's what they all do. They're trying to steal my money. They're trying to take my control. They're trying to take my freedom. But that happens because things start to get out of control, to where the state's involved. People are watching you, and you don't have a choice. And what I truly believed he was really, really sick. And maybe he was having a breakdown time with his ex-wife. Who knows? But I did what I had to do to survive for our family, to keep it together. Whether he wants to agree with that or not, someone had to take control, because it was spiraling out of control like it did. And we can see when he got his freedom what he did. Anyway, I go there because he cuts the money off. My daughter has no formula. I have no money. Meaning he cut the bank accounts off. And a lot of it too is just because he wants to start drama. He wants to fight me. The Airbnb people were scared of him. He was staying with, and he was pacing around. He wanted to leave already. He didn't want to deal with nothing anymore. He didn't want to deal with the kids. He didn't want to deal with his ex. He didn't want to deal with me, because he thought if he left, everything would be okay. The solution is always to run, right? Run, run, run. Hide. Don't deal with your problems. All you got to do is get through a few things, and get back on track. Unless he was really trying to steal money from the VA and Social Security, because he's out there working and act like he's fine, which is not something he said he could do for me, which always makes me question how much of a liar he is. I have to say that, because when you have a personality disorder, people lie, and they lie and lie and lie and lie over lies. And if there was any manipulation on my part, it's because I was trying to protect my daughter and do what I had to do. And most of it was things that doctors were telling me and other outside sources that were official through courts and stuff like that. So he cuts the money off for my daughter so she can't get formula. She's got special formula because I can't breastfeed. I go there, have his phone. She calls, and I see the text message and she's asking me a question. Who's this? And during that moment, so quickly, why being impulsive and being a liar and having impulses is dangerous, he lunged over. Granted, he may have only tried to grab his phone, but he didn't realize at that time, as he grabbed his phone, he was taking the phone while using his other hand to pull the phone out of my hand. And that's how I got bruised on my arm. And it was a big bruise. I'm not going to lie about it. I'm not going to defend him for that anymore. He bruised me. It went too far, especially with my daughter being there. And to be outside going crazy on me, granted, I wasn't trying to be as calm as I could with him, but I'm a human being. There's only so much a person can take. And here you are, people are sitting there telling him, because people want his money too. They want to party with him. He's making promises. He lied about things he could do and couldn't do. He was a poker player. He did this, he did that. He's got a 15-year-old's brain, in my opinion. I even call him midlife crisis. I'd call it, he's probably always going to be that way, because of his, not just his mental illnesses, but he's also got learning disabilities. You can't sue me for that. That's what I went through. I don't need to lie about that, because it's all in document papers. It's all in paperwork. It's all there, physically there, what I'm talking about. And it's actually way worse than what I'm saying, a lot of things. I'm just saying my story and what happened led up to this video. Because he went to jail because of what he did. He's in there 3 days. He calls the same girl up who wants to fuck him. I'm just going to say it like it is. He's with her to be pissed off at me, and goes with her, takes off, doesn't even contact his family, doesn't care about him, and takes off with some girl in a hotel who's mentally ill. Yeah, that's all I can say. I'm going to stop there. You do the rest in your head. Granted, he goes to jail, he gets out of jail, that's how he's living. Of course, we're all looking like, what the fuck? But, we have my daughter. I had to make sure she was safe, and I did what I had to do to make sure she had protections for her. Does that make him mad at me? Probably. But I did what he should did in my place, had I been him. And it was really rough for me in the end, where I just couldn't take it no more. I think he knew that. And he just didn't want to get his shit together. It was just easier for him to think to start anew with new people who didn't know him. He could pretend like he pretended with me, even though I knew from the beginning he had problems. Accepting what you have is the difference between living a life and living a lie. Being with somebody that can handle that and understand it with you and work through it, and you not fight them on it, is the difference between getting better and living a normal life than constantly restarting again and finding yourself positions like drinking and drugs and coping mechanisms and sexual activities and what every mentally ill person does when they're like that. Almost. That are highly, highly mentally ill. It's no different. It's in their eyes. You can see it. I don't want to stereotype nobody, but I've been around mental illness all my life. And I know it's really bad, and we could all see it. When I say we, I mean the doctors that were quartered, they're supposed to go to. And during that time, he was already having basically online affairs. I already knew ahead of time. I was prepared. The doctor even asked us to stay loyal to each other, which he did not do. He wanted to reason out, and he made him. He was going crazy in front of his court-ordered therapist. It's a court-ordered therapist that he's screaming in front of, justifying that. When it's one place he shouldn't have done that. Put me in a position where I had to say, okay, as they asked me, because we had our separate sessions too. What are you going to do? All I could say was to keep my daughter safe. Good. Glad to hear that. How do you do that? Put boundaries up. Okay. What kind of boundaries? He can't be in her life till he shows that he's stable. And yes, I chose that. Yes, I made that decision on him. And our last one, when he was yelling ridiculous things at me, basically everything he promised me, he lied about, I guess, because he just wanted me to use me to fight his wife, is what I'm assuming now, is that I was a jewelry, and I was the jewel in the rough to make his first wife jealous because she cheated on him. Everything that she had done to him, he did to me 10 times fold. Abandoned his daughter, cut us off financially, didn't tell us what the hell was going on, and all I wanted was a break, and he knew that. But maybe because he was so upset and angry at the time, he didn't hear that. To get himself together so he could be in his daughter's life. But instead, starts a new relationship, is moving to the girl within 2 months. So I'll stop here. It's in the video. I'm not going to repeat myself. But I do cry in the video. I do get upset because I haven't talked about this with anybody, even a lot of therapists I haven't talked to. So just I've kept it to myself. My parents don't know. Nobody knows what I went through when it came to my miscarriage. And I even contacted him. He never contacted me back because he probably thought I was lying to try to manipulate him, which if I did, I would have manipulated him the moment I knew I was pregnant. And perhaps that was a test for me to see his character as a man, to see what kind of father he was going to be all around, how he was going to react, and it wasn't going to get his attention, because I could do that in so many other ways, like having fits and fight him the way he would like to fight, so he could say, look at her, she's crazy. Which he told everybody I was a devil worshiper, and this and that. Actually, I was just trying to see how crazy he was and how far he was wanting to go with things. And he went pretty far. And do I think he's that way? I think he can be a good man when he chooses to be. But I think it's hard for him. I think in his madness, that's how he likes to roll. And he uses people as excuses of why he has cycles. Because he does. He does. So does his brother. The whole family's got drug problems and problems. I'm not putting the family down. It's the truth. You know, when the mother has got problems and she's with so many men and she's kicked off bases because she's with so many men, his brother is, and they're used to women coming back and forth because the mom was toxic, but yet she wasn't good to him, and she raised him a certain way, but then she bailed him out of everything. And you got these women who constantly say it's okay to do these things, it's okay, until you're caught, and you blow up and have a fit, you run away, and they forgive you again like his mother again now. No matter what he does, she'll always forgive him. And that's the problem she caused. She caused him now not to be a good man for his children. And for a wife. That's something he's got to work on his own, because my dad was that way and I chose not to be like him. Long intro, I know, but it has to be explained for probably the two people who want to see this regarding the God thing they're so curious about, and about with my daughter. It's a very painful journey. It's a long story that I can't even rationalize right now, put together. It would be in like increments of each detailed one about what I went through and what made me go into therapy, what made me go into understanding the human mind. What made me curious about myself, how I got myself better through isolation and silence, not because I was ashamed of myself, or it was because I finally had to grow up, and there's reasons why in the video. I had to grow up for my daughter. I had to stop. I could not be my father who left me. And because of that, I was with two men with the same issues that I attracted. I don't want her to be me. And it was a very, very hard kick in the head. And it changed me forever, because I had to be able to understand myself. And that's all you can do with therapy, is understand yourself. And hopefully there's someone there. I mean, I did it alone because I've always done it alone. I've been only child. I have a lot of family. I don't run to friends because I don't want to be a victim. I don't want to be a statistic. I don't want to be the person always asking for help. I don't want to be that person that people go, their life ain't together again. They lost another family. They ain't got their shit together. I don't do it to impress people. I did it for me, because it was the right thing to do for me. Because I've always been on my own. I've always been strong. I've always been a loner, regardless of anyone has ever seen me. They've always thought I was codependent and stuff. No, I just love a family. That's my dream. And he used my dream against me because I loved his kids. I did everything I could to protect him and his family to the end. But then at the end, I had to make a choice between losing my daughter and losing him. He had already made his choice. I was his prom at the time. He ran back to his first wife, who really did help cause a lot of this. But he wasn't strong enough to stand up to her on his own. He needed women to do it for him. And because he ain't got a strong enough woman to stand up to me, he's not around. That's the truth. And it's always an excuse why I might blow up, or this is going to happen to lie on me. No, actually, no. I was there to help him all the way. He didn't want it because he thought moving on with someone else quickly, I mean quick. It's a marriage with a baby that we planned, who he saw every day. He threw away like it was nothing. And that was the empathy level and the compassion level the doctors were so concerned about, and said, he's got to go through this regardless, but you don't. You don't need to go through this with him if that's how he's going to treat you. They saw it. We all saw it. Maybe the new people in his life didn't see it because he told them what they wanted to hear. But there was other things there that was very just interesting, is what I'll say. But the pain you see is real. It's something I don't cry a lot about because I've held it in. I've had to, because what more can be done? It's something I've had to accept, but it was a hard thing to go through, being on my own and not telling anyone about being pregnant. People say, why didn't you tell no one? Because one, I wasn't for sure for a while. I was feeling so awful. I was going through a separation. I knew my husband was looking at other women. They were coming to our house already. I was trying to deflect that from my parents' house, which was embarrassing. They didn't need to get involved in that. They don't really know anything still, because it's my business and mine to tell when it's the right time. Eventually my daughter will know when she grows up. Oh, and that's the other subject too, about me saying saying that he's dead. There's a reason for that. It's in the video. It's because I couldn't stand watching my daughter cry no more for a father who wasn't coming back. And it was something I didn't want her to face rejection until she can comprehend it correctly and not grow up being rejected, wondering where dad is at. She doesn't need the same pain I had and what he had and what my other ex had. It's damaging. And it'll be my burden to bear one day. Is it ethical? Probably not. But I will tell her one day. And if she hates me, she does for a while. She hates me forever, she does. But right now, it's the world I created for her. It's the world, she's only 3, going on 4. It's the world I choose for her to be in. She's very happy. She's very loving. And she's got a good life right now. She doesn't know any different. And I hope to keep it that way as long as I can, so she has a good early childhood development where she's got a strong foundation so she can handle conflict and obstacles. Something like this she's not developed enough to handle right now. You have to understand that. And sometimes parents, like his 2 kids, were thrown into the fire and they ruined them in so many ways. It wasn't just him, it was the whole court system. The whole court system did it. Because kids are treated like property. And parents hate each other and use their kids as tools. I will not do it to her. Anyone in her life has to be 100% positive and just there for her. And only her. And that means living in the moment and not the past. And some of us can do that and some can't. So yes, this is the journey. Long intro. But I have to say that because I just don't want to put a video up where I'm crying. It's like, what's going on here? Because I cry. What can I say? I'm not going to re-record it. I'm not going to re-go through the story. This is what you want. I'm giving it to you. And this will be the last of this. I'm not going to talk about anymore. I got one of the video I'm going to make for somebody about ghosting or whatever. I'll make that too. But this is what you want to know. And maybe you'll understand more about how I feel about God. And I have my ups and downs with God because that's my personal belief and my own research for years. It's got nothing to do with other things, but it's a combination of a journey of my growth. And that's part of my growth. It may not be part of yours. You don't have to agree with me. It's just how I am. And it's what makes me happy. That's all that matters in the end. So, just understand that this is a complex situation, complex issue that's very not completely lined out how it all began. I don't blame him for everything, but I have to blame him for the end because he knew what he was doing. He had every chance to do what he wanted to, but he wanted to be right. He felt he was trapped because they get that way, where if you're trying to help them, you're controlling them, you're trying to run them, you're doing this to them. It's just another way to self-sabotage, to say that the love they had for you means nothing when they love you the most. And that's the trick. That's the myth behind narcissistic people, or people with like personality disorders, with BDP and all that kind of stuff, the number one thing is to be loved because they never had it. And they crave it, and they try to get it by manipulation and stealing it and lying. They give enough of themselves, but they want the full love, because it's almost like they love that love, they love that energy from it, but then they have enough for themselves where they can just walk away and discard it. Boom, gone, even for the kids. Then one day, sometimes they wake up and it's a big mistake. Sometimes, not always. Some don't even care. It happens again and again and again, so the cycle will continue with someone new. It may take 10 years, it might take 1 year, but a person will eventually start experiencing the same behaviors because they have to be able to go at it and not stop it. Because it takes a long time to cope with those things. It takes a long time of communication, saying, I can't handle what I'm feeling. I need some time alone, instead of just running off and coping on their own and trying other things to make them happy, instead of dealing with the problem and blaming everyone else. I understand it's completely. And there's no excuse for me what he's done. It's not okay what he's done. It'll never be okay. And because of that, I know who he really is. Meaning that if life gets hard, gets tough, this is what's going to happen if he doesn't take care of it. And he can't take criticism from other people, and people have gone through it themselves, to say, try this, try that, without blowing up and blaming the world on his pain. His pain's there. We all have pain. He caused more pain to more people because of his pain, which is not fair. And needs to stop now. And he had a child he left, and she'll always have pain now because of that, and she'll have pain to the day she dies, as long as he keeps doing what he's doing, because she'll always have questions. She'll always wonder, regardless of what we may say. No matter what I do, no matter how grave a replacement I get for her, even a stepfather, that's always an underlying feeling, because the man I'm talking about should know that by now. I know that by now. We both had fathers who weren't there for us, and he became the man he hated, and I became the woman I never wanted to be by picking a man like that. This cycle continued, but now I ended it. And he's not around because my boundaries are high. I expect him to be a certain way. I have to be a certain way for her. I cannot act out that way. I cannot be a certain way for her because she is a child. And I have enough self-control, enough mind control, and enough coping skills, because I want them, which I've even gained new ones now. I got them immediately because I wanted to make the change. As Tony Robbins says, you know within 15 seconds if you're going to make that change. But smoking, drinking, your mental health, dieting, you make a choice, you stick with it because it's for you. If you're okay with the way your life is, no one can say anything or do anything to you to push you into it. Control's an illusion. No one controlled him. But we had to control ourselves in our situation, because his behavior and things he did was affecting everyone around us. Mainly my daughter. And I will do anything, and I'll protect her by any means necessary from anyone, even myself. So only a parent who understands that will know what I mean. Some parents may defend it and say, no. At the time, I did the best I could of what I had and what I knew, because he was an illusion, and he was creating lies and a false life and false lies already, because he was tired and sick of his life, so he runs away from it. You don't do that as an adult. You just don't do it. And that's what's his maturity level. I keep saying maturation levels of his mindset of he's always done that and gotten away with it, and everyone's been okay with it. Oh, here's an excuse. PTSD, then fix that. Personality disorder, then help fix it. Accept the fact that you'll never be like everybody else, and that's okay, and you need extra help. Maybe that's the lesson here. Because life was pretty good when he was stable. But sometimes people like that, when they're stable, they tend to ruin it because they don't want to believe the love's real. It's just easier to push away and to say, I'll hurt you before you hurt me. Even though it's not the phrase they use, but he's the kind of person that will have an affair if he thinks you're having an affair first to hurt you. To feel good about himself instead of working it out without asking. He never even knew what was going on with me. I was actually pregnant the whole time. He was doing these things to me. Because he never asked. And he told me to stay away from him. I listened to what he said. Don't say things you don't mean. Don't push people away if you don't mean to. Don't discredit somebody because of how you feel about yourself. I'm not in his mind, but I can tell you this much. I don't know the person I was married to from my point of view. I know his behaviors. I understand why he does the things he does, but who he really was, I don't even think he knows. Can someone like that get better? Of course. But you can't do that in a marriage and run away. You're married to somebody, and you're supposed to stick it through no matter what. That's what the sickness and health was. So I have to ask myself, to me now, I'm asking you this question, if you're dealing with someone similar to this or close to these behaviors. Are they with you for the right reasons? Are they because of what they can get from you because you benefit them in some way? You're a benefit to their life. That's part of a relationship, but no, really it should be love, because if it was all gone like us, is there still love? Because he went looking for a dream again to someone else instead of the dream was right there. It could have been everything. His own daughter and children, his own children weren't enough for him. So what can make him happy exactly? I can't make him happy. He doesn't know what makes him happy. It's money to him. His little bit of greed he's got. That money, money, money. He's going to buy everything. That's success. He felt it's success. His success was his family. He had one, lost that one. He lost the second one within 5 years. That's not success, no matter how much money you have. Doesn't matter. But you could pay people to lie to you. You could be Donald Trump and have a woman who doesn't really love you but just wants you for your money. I guess that's power to him. But to me, love was always pure. The intent was always pure. But a person has a right to survive too through what he was going through. And I had no one there, and he was supposed to be a protector. He became our enemy. And it happens with narcs. They become your competition. They become jealous of you, envious of you. They want to tear you down. They want to bring you down to a level because they want you to stay where they're at, because they're pissed off that you can do better than them. And it's a shame. And instead of looking at you going, what can you do to help me, guide me through this, they become vengeful and hateful, and they want to destroy and will use other people. Like going back to his ex-wife behind my back like I didn't know. She made sure I knew. That was her whole goal. Her whole goal, as she said the first time I met her, was of all the people he could be with, it had to be you. She saw the beautiful life he had, and don't say she wasn't jealous, because she's nuts too. She is. She's like a histrionic. Look that up. But she's got a lot of jealousy issues, and she couldn't stand that she lost, because she left him the same way he did to me with someone else, and she lost like he's losing now. Because regardless, he's going to have all nice things in the world. He lost out on pure love from two people that truly loved him and would do anything for him in the world. And that's priceless. It's priceless. That somebody else is going to get now because he just didn't want it. You can't sit there and cry about it. There's a lot of people out there who look for what he left. And what he left was a pretty good deal. And it's probably because he didn't think he was good enough, or, I could find someone better, this and that, but he made himself that way where he wasn't good enough. He made himself unavailable. He made himself distance. He made himself lose his family from being quiet, because silence is deadly. It's fatal. And he killed the relationship by doing that. Because when someone tells you they don't want you and you're the problem and to stay the hell away from him, what do? And you don't want to see someone go back to jail again. You don't want to lose your daughter. What do? It was up to him to save his family. It was up to him to man up for once and to actually stand fast, because I always did for 6 years. I held strong for everybody, and I couldn't do it no more. It wasn't fair, and it's not fair if you're doing that. And you're better off being by yourself till you find the right person who can live the life you want to live. And he's living a life I lived when I was 20. And part of it was a midlife crisis. He felt like his life was taken from him, when really he was never going to have a life at all. Because if he knows being in your 20s, it's a shitty fucking life. You waste your money, you spend your time, you think friends are important. It really comes down to no one gives a shit about you in the end. No one gives a fuck about you if you're dead or alive. Especially those kind of people. You learn that the hard way by the time you're 30. There's no excuse for what he did. He knew that. He was warned. He was told all these things. He did it because he wanted to be rebellious, because that's part of being a narc. That's part of your control. That's part of him saying, whatever you tell me, I'm going the opposite. Look at me. You don't control me. No, I don't. But you don't control me either. And to be in our life, you have to be a certain way, because I have to be that way for her. I had to make changes. I had to make compromises. I had to condition myself to be in my daughter's life, and so does he. The bottom line is, no one gets extra leeway anymore, because the leeway is gone, because he put himself in a position and put our family in a position that made us be in that kind of situation. It was his behaviors that he could not handle. There's a tiny little things that triggered him, which he triggered everybody, because he triggered me. He thought he was the only one triggered. He triggered me, and what my dad did to me, watching my daughter go through what he put her through, I can tell you, he's sorry he ever did that. And that was probably the biggest mistake he ever made of me, because it made me even push harder to be free of him and to be free of any help from him, because I never wanted her to feel like she had to be in a relationship like his mother was with men she hated, laying in bed with, wanting to die in their sleep, from what he told me. And me helped my mom would divorce my dad because I couldn't stand him. And that was the road he was going down, because he was the one blowing up, not me. He was the one causing chain reactions to get me to blow it back at him, to play a game with him, which I was done with. That's not how you treat people you love or your children. I'm not here to judge him. I'm here to say the games are over. They've been over for a long time. No one's after him. This is my story. I try to be as detailed as possible so you can get an understanding that your pain is real. It's okay to cry. It's best to make videos like this and to get a different kind of outlet. That's what I'm working at, is some kind of outlet where people can do that, because you need to speak it out. You need to be able to tell your story, whether someone believes you or not. Because the only way to work through it is to talk about it and to work through it. And part of this has helped me going to therapy. Why I was going to therapy was it helped me actually rationalize everything about myself, to him, to what happened. It brought it all together. It took some time, but it brought it all together. And I went, oh my God, it makes sense. There's no regret. And I tried at the end, once again, to reach out to him, to try to warn him, this is it. But you know, his brother's with a girl who he's done this with over and over again. His mother, it's something that he thinks in time it'll be okay. No, it won't, sweetheart. Sometimes it's not okay. I'm not them. For me, time is fatal. Time shows you don't care. Time shows that you just didn't give a damn. Time shows no one waits for you. No one waits for anybody. He didn't wait for us to move on. He tested the water. I'm not here to test the water. I'm here to live an abundant life on my own, because I was the one who created our life to begin with. It was your life. It was his life that came into my world. And he made the active choice to try to change that world, but then try to regress me back to his first wife and what they had, because it's easier for him. He thought he wanted the life I had. It came down to it was just too much work for him, because he couldn't be the way he used to be. I wasn't going to accept his behavior. Or she did, and she likes it because her father's abusive. Yes, his first wife's father's abusive to the mother. She's a scared little mouse. He even saw the abuse. The kids saw the abuse. They're his children. She'll be in that cycle with him till the day he dies, because she'll play the victim to get what she needs, and he likes that. I won't do that, because I want a man who just wants to be wanted for him. And that was the secret. I only wanted him for him. Crazy, no. I never needed him for his money. I never needed him because he could screw a light bulb in. I never needed him because he could figure out problems. I just simply enjoyed his company. And when he made me laugh, and to love me, and to be there for me when no one else was. It's all it ever was. It's all I ever needed to be. And everyone wanted to be complicated about money. And money truly is the root of all evil. Because it really turned me off now, people with money, and the power they have, and why I changed so much, because I saw, he was mentally ill, what money made him do. The betrayals, the hurt that money, through all of them, even his ex, through 5 or 6 years of fighting. It took me to go through all of this for me to say, I don't want that money anymore. I wanted this big career, and I wanted to have a jetliner, I wanted all these things, but what is the price you pay? Love. And so this past 2 years, of course we need money to live, of course we need money to survive. That's just life. But to live for money, and to live for success, to have a plaque on your name, to have a degree, means nothing to me now. My daughter taught me so much about simplicity. She's happy with just a flower, because she's a COVID kid, and she didn't have a lot. She lost her brother and sister. She lost her father. She lost another brother she was going to have. She lost an entire family with me. We lost so much. Her mother has to work a lot because I'm by myself, and that's okay. That's life. A man would do the same thing. I'm no different because I'm the mother. She's appreciative of everything. And I learned so much through her. Kids can teach you so much if you just watch and listen. And I'll never be one for a lot of money again. Men who try to show off money now are so unattractive to me. Men who try to power play me like that, in the sense of like, look what I got and look what I can do for you. It's just a turn off for me. Do you want to get to know me? Because my husband never actually did. He never knew my heart. He never knew how much I loved him. And how hard it was for that love to die. And it's like a death. And so you let it die. And it's all you can do. But it taught me so much about to never put money ahead of love. And never put money ahead of those you love. It was a very hard lesson because I was a money maker. I can still make money. I can still come out. I can basically make money from nothing. But I prefer the quality of life over the quantity of life, of what I have, what I can show off. I've been there, I've done all that, and it didn't get me nowhere. Only misery. I see people with a lot of money, they're miserable. And money's great. Money is great to have, freedom. I'm not saying don't have that kind of money, but to have it where you're willing to throw your own children away and to lose time when this could be it. There maybe is no afterlife. There's no tomorrow. There may be no tomorrow. Like him. He thought he'd have tomorrow with me and her tomorrow. There's no tomorrow. There was only now. Because that's how I live my life. And I'm not that person he left behind. I changed a lot. I can't remember who she was. That person's gone. And everything I believe in is different. Everything about who I am and my values are different now. Everybody who's in my life is different. Everything I believe in is not even what it was before. The same things I liked before, I don't even like now. Because I'm one of the few people that can make complete transformations. I've had to survive in life and to grow. Because I refuse to be like the people that mistreated me. And life is too short. It truly is. And time is running out. I'm almost 40. Seems like, oh, you're young. Not really. Not really. 50 comes fast instead of 60. 20 years has blown by for me. But I do know that anyone who's in my life now has to accept the lifestyle I have, has to be able to be stable and to bring life to the relationship. And I mean life that means abundance with love and feelings and caring and standing by us when the times are hard, and to be able to work with me and to be my companion and not somebody who wants to win and to feel stupid because I'm smarter than them. That's just what it is. Can't change that. I need someone who's going to love me for me, not for what I can get them and what I can give them and what benefits they look like because they're with me, or try to keep me stuck with them because they still want me but they don't want to say they love me. They want to mistreat me and keep me in the cold, even though clearly the actions show how bad someone was hurt. As I see through everything. And you can deny it all you want to. People can deny all they want to, but when they act so bad, like his first wife did, she always intended to come back. She always intended to have some sort of relationship, but she got that from him. But from over here, it didn't work out like she thought it would again. Because when two people are so into themselves and so selfish about what they can get from each other, how they can win, the old nature comes back out of domination and control again. And she's always going to be that way, and so is he. Because neither one can see it. It's always someone else's fault. Well, this is my introduction. It's long, but it needs to be, because the video I'm going to show is intense. And I have to explain this pain I'm showing is from a long time ago I never talked about. And I know people have gone through these things. And all I can tell you is you will live again, and you will smile again, and you will either change for yourself or you won't. You'll survive and you'll live, and the best way to find life again is to change who you are all around. How you think and see things, and slow down. That's the biggest thing I did, is I slowed down finally. I realized everything around me that I had that I used to not see, and I could understand him too. The abundance he thought he sought out of accolades and what he had to show that he was the first to get a person to be with. That's what his success was, a relationship. Success is actually creating your own life without needing someone to do it for you. Because when you bring someone in together with you, you become one, and you bring two well, stable people who know how to take care of themselves together. So no one goes, you're making me adult. You're telling me to do, you're controlling me because you're telling me I have to go do this. I have to take the garbage. I have to clean the backyard. When a person's always took care of themselves, always done it. So when they do it themselves, no big deal like me. So I get the guy, I can take care of myself, and doing chores around the house and paying my bills and doing adult things aren't a big deal to me like him and some other people I know. A lot of people have that problems these days, and that's the parents' fault. But being on your own is so very important, because either you grow with your partner and you're able to be open-minded enough to do that and to learn from them and not to be a dick, or you grow. You grow. I was on my own twice between relationships, and I always grew from them. And this time I've grown the most and probably the most balanced I've ever been. And I'm glad for it, because now I'm really, really ready for somebody. I can see people now when they got issues, they can't come into my life. I might as well go back with the ex then, because, you know, you're bringing that baggage in I don't want. And it's like, people have baggage, I get that. But it's baggage, I mean, that's still highly hot and confrontational that can really mess up your relationship. I won't do that again. I won't save somebody. I can't. You can only save yourself. So, watch the video. All I can tell you is that it seems sad, but I wanted to make this because, yes, it's sad. Yes, it's what I went through. But at the same time, I gained a lot. I lost a whole lot. So, of course, it changed. My whole life died. My whole life was taken from me. It was stolen from me and my daughter and given to other people. I think that was the hardest part of it all. It wasn't just rejection. It was a blind out. It was thievery. I'm just not the emotion, but the time, the love, everything that she never deserved. Treat me as you will, I'm an adult. I made a choice to be with someone like that. But what did she do? She was innocent. And not just because she's my daughter. I couldn't save the other two. I tried. They weren't mine to save. I tried. And I had to let go. Because they were hurting me and her in the end. And they were hurting their father. And they hurt our whole marriage and our relationship because they were trained to do what they were trained to do at the end. And that's what happens to a lot of families. So all I can do is let go for your own mental health. And I had to do. You know, I had to make the choice. That's what I do. So, watch the video. Know it'll be okay. I'll make one more video for, I forget who it was, about ghosting and how to deal with that later. Because he's in a marriage where he got ghosted. So, this is about God, abandonment, and just coping skills I used. Have a therapist. I'm not a therapist. I'll remind you again. Just, it's my story alone, and how I got through it. So, I'm not going to say enjoy, but take a look.